Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah. Officer DiMatteo, could you grab the door, please? Nope. Welcome to the 2017 third quarter award ceremony, and today we have a special bonus. We're going to have a couple promotions. So let's go ahead and get started with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. What a great turnout. To get things started today, Administrator Bill May has a special presentation to make.
As you guys know, our Assistant Chief abandoned us and went back to MPB, and when they switch over, we like to do something for them. So all of Support Services got this plaque, signed it for Assistant Chief Del Toro. I'll read it. It says, "Excellence. Excellence is never accident. It is the pursuit of high intention, sincere effort, intelligent direction, skillful execution, and the vision to see obstacles as opportunities. Presented to Richard Del Toro, Jr. in appreciation for your devotion, providing leadership and encouragement to the Support Services Division." This is from everybody, Rich.
Sorry, that was completely unexpected, but from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say to my Support Services Bureau staff, thank you guys. I love you so much. It was a great 2 years together. Happy to be back in patrol, going to help push things forward there, but you guys got a special place in my heart, and I appreciate all the hard work as a team that we were able to accomplish the last couple of years. So back to AC Vega, and we're both very proud of you guys and doing all we can do to help push the department forward. So thanks, Chief, for all your support, too. Appreciate it. Thank you.
So busy doing his job, we pulled a fast one on him. And now we'll get started with the service citations.
All right, for 5 years with the agency, Detective Josh Saframilla, Officer Abe Alves, Officer Taylor Battistelli, come on down if I call your name, Officer Robert Brink, Officer Joe Casaniti, Officer Dan D'Elia, Officer Diane Freeman, Officer Taria Gittins-Waldron, Officer Sal Garcia, Officer Dan Papaleo, Officer Robert Perkins, Officer Adrian Peterzak, Officer Brian Thompson, Record Specialist Karen Baggett, and Detective Carlos Waldron.
Get behind the screen.
"5 years, Chief. Seems like a long time ago, doesn't it?" For 10 years, we have Manager John Briney, Detective Nate Penny, and Officer Chris D'Angelo. 15 years, Detective Sergeant Charlie Lumpkin, Detective Chris Fulcher, CSI Joel Smith, and Reserve Officer Mike Schmidt. And for 25 years with the agency, Sergeant John Holman and Officer Gary Grenier. Moving on to the Educational Achievement Awards, we have two this time, one for Reserve Officer Frank Sisto, who received his Bachelor of Science in Business Administration and Economics, and another for Detective John Delacroce, who received his Master's degree in Business Administration. Congratulations, guys. Now we have a letter of appreciation for some citizens who helped out for us. Will Mr. James Knight, Mr. James Knight Jr., and Mr. Tony Loizzo please come on up if you're here. And I hope I said Tony's last name right. Close enough? Okay. On July 18th, Officer Eugene Robbie Gibbons and his 4-year-old daughter were involved in a rollover crash in his personal vehicle traveling southbound on I-95 just past the St. Lucie West exit. Officer Gibbons' truck hydroplaned off the roadway and overturned into a roadside canal. Officer Gibbons' vehicle was upside down in the water with his daughter securely seatbelted in her car seat, but she couldn't free herself. Officer Gibbons was unable to get to his daughter, but then he noticed 3 citizens, James Knight Jr., and Tony Loizzo, who jumped into the canal and began to attempt to open the doors. After managing to open the driver's side door, Officer Gibbons yelled out to them to get his daughter out of the back seat. Once the rear door was opened, Officer Gibbons was able to swim out to the driver's side and assist the individuals in freeing his daughter from her car seat. It was estimated that Robbie's daughter was under the water for about a minute or longer. Mr. Loizzo passed Robbie's daughter up the embankment to several other unknown citizens. Officer Gibbons' daughter was limp and appeared unconscious. Mr. Loizzo told the female at the side of the road to start CPR. However, she started breathing on her own. Rescue responded and transported Robbie and his daughter to Lawnwood Medical Center, where it was learned that they did not aspirate any water during the incident. Robbie's daughter was kept overnight for observation and made a full recovery. The following day, Robbie returned to the scene to attempt to locate some personal property, which is still in the canal. Both James Knight and James Knight Jr. were again traveling on I-95 and saw him. They stopped to ask how his daughter was. I must be missing something. This is, thanks to your quick thinking, you guys saved 2 lives. The Port St. Lucie Police Department thanks you for your help in assisting our officer and his daughter. You are truly heroes. Thanks, guys. All right, the next award, I'm not going to call out every member of the agency. It's to everybody in the agency. It's from the chief. He says he's pleased to present each employee of the Port St. Lucie Police Department who was employed during the calendar year 2016 with a Distinguished Achievement Award. This award is in recognition of all the hard work and commitment of both sworn and civilian personnel who contributed to the city of Port St. Lucie having the lowest crime rate of any city in the state of Florida with a population over 100,000. In 2000, Chief John Skinner initiated this award after the Morgan Quinto Press designated the city with the lowest crime rate in each category as the safest city. This practice has since been discontinued. However, we continue to maintain the lowest crime rate, as was the case in 2016. Our department has the lowest number of Part 1 crimes for several years, and we are all very deserving of praise and recognition. Congratulations to every member of our agency on a job well done. I was waiting. Next up, we have some citations for the armed robbery at the jewelry store in St. Lucie West. For a commendation citation, we have Detective Sergeant Charlie Lumpkin, Sergeant Rod Dobler, Officer Christina Roscoe. For unit citations, and this is a long list, Sergeant Joe Norcus, Sergeant John Holman, Sergeant Tara Pavelsham, Sergeant Tim Petronico, Detective Chris Bentley, Detective Dave Butterworth, Detective Richard Giacone, Detective Jim Jones, Detective Brett LaGrega, Detective Amy Malaveski, Detective Kirsten Meyer, Detective Nate Penny, Officer Garrett Kennedy, Officer Chris D'Angelo, Officer Carl Durbin, Officer Jerry Arago, Officer Ken Fridd, Officer Vic Garcia, Officer Ian Harris, Officer Sylvia Harris, Officer Suzanne Morfletes, Officer John Morgan, Officer Janet Palmer, Officer Don Paris, Officer Matt Reynolds, Officer Terry Russell, Officer Danny Votlin, Canine Officer Robbie Gibbons, CSI Ashley Perkins, CSI Joel Smith, and CSI Denitzi Aroma. Did I miss anybody? No, okay. I think there's still a few left in the audience. All right, everybody. Congratulations. Based upon the nomination submitted by Sergeant Tim Petronico, you have all been awarded a citation for the third quarter of 2017. On April 17, 2017, units responded to a jewelry store on Southwest St. Lucie West Boulevard in reference to an armed robbery. 4 suspects armed with handguns entered the store, struck the employees, and attempted to steal a large amount of merchandise from the store. Patrol units arrived as the suspects were still inside the store. As the suspects realized the officers were on scene, they fled out the back door of the business, leaving stolen property behind. Officer Jerry Arago pursued the suspects on foot, and Officer Roscoe located and took one suspect into custody in the parking lot of Martin Memorial Hospital. Sergeant Dobler located another suspect at a neighboring business, but due to conflicting suspect information, he was not arrested at that time, but was later arrested down in Broward County. A third suspect went to a residence in Kings Isle, took a family hostage, and forced them to drive him to Broward County, where he just let them go from there. Our crime scene people were able to locate a fingerprint inside the apartment in Kings Isle, as well as respond down to Broward County and find a water bottle that the suspect had dropped and get another fingerprint off of that. Based on all those identifications, all 4 suspects were placed under arrest, and they're all in jail. Great job, everybody.
I will say something here. So, this is the first award of many that are to follow with large groups of people, and I just want you to take a look and listen to the descriptions of the teamwork that goes on. You know, we have a 42% clearance rate, and it's not by accident. It's because people work as a team in this organization, and it just continues to get better and better. So very, very proud of everything you do.
Bottom line, come to Port St. Lucie, go to jail if you commit a crime. I said commit a crime. You didn't hear the last part. Next up is citations for the Southwest Floral Street hotspot. A commendation citation to Officer Tim Herring and unit citations to Sergeant Marty Curran, Sergeant Tara Pavlisham, Detective Brian Boyce, Detective Brett LaGrega, Officer Dave Bell, Officer Garrett Kennedy, Officer Corey Ewlings, Officer Camille Marin, Officer Dwayne Reason, Officer John Seeley, Officer Jermaine Singleton, Officer Crofonzo Thorpe, and crime analyst Cheryl Davis. Congratulations. Based on a nomination submitted by Sergeant Marty Curran, you've been awarded a citation for the third quarter of 2017. While conducting a close patrol in the early morning hours of July 28, 2017, in the area of the Southwest Floral Street hotspot, Officer Tim Herring witnessed 4 males crossing Port St. Lucie Boulevard by a small bridge near Southwest Jingle Avenue. He stopped his vehicle so he could confront the males, who fled westbound on foot. Upon giving verbal orders to stop, 2 of them actually listened and returned to Officer Herring. I know, it surprised him too, I'm sure. Responding perimeter units located the other 2 males near the near Canal Bank on Southwest Jarmer Road. The 2 men gave up upon being called directly by their names, which Officer Herring had gotten out of the other 2. Upon questioning the male juveniles, it was determined that the males were out to commit vehicle burglaries. One of the suspects was the ringleader of the group, and the others were enlisted as lookouts. CID was contacted and a detective responded after the group, post Miranda, admitted to having committed dozens of vehicle burglaries in the preceding 2 weeks. Over the course of the next several weeks, it was determined that the initial stop and detention of the original 4 male juveniles resulted in the recovery of a stolen firearm from 1 burglary, the closure of hotspots on Southwest Floral Street, Southwest Ensenada, and one in the Town Park subdivision of Tradition, where the main suspect had made a connection to a pair of juvenile females via social media. Thank you for your outstanding performance. Great job, everybody. Next, we have citations for a shooting that occurred on Southwest California Boulevard. Commendation citation to Officer Adam Doty, Officer Corey Kresick, K-9 Officer Mike Colton and his K-9 Danny, and unit citations to Detective Sergeant Jan Bernstein, Sergeant Steve Helseth, Sergeant Dan Harrington, Sergeant Reese Kilner, Detective Brian Boyce, Detective Rich Giacone, Detective Paul Griffith, Detective Rob Perkins, Officer Clayton Baldwin, Officer Fatima Barrera, Officer Michael Bianco, Officer Robert Burdick, Officer Courtney Druga, Officer Charles Green, Officer Paul Knowles, Officer Robert Meyer, Officer Jesse McInerney, Officer Mitch Miller, Officer Nelson Ojeda, Officer William Thompson, Officer Michael Thompson, K-9 Officer Will Harris, K-9 Officer Colin Duncombe, CSI Joel Smith, and CSI Denitza Yaroma. Come on up, everybody. Congratulations, everybody. Based on a nomination submitted by Sergeant Dan Harrington, you've been awarded a citation for the third quarter of 2017. On July 10th, 2017, at 2:17 a.m., midnight shift Squad A officers were dispatched to a drive-by shooting. The information initially received stated that an 18-year-old male was shot while sleeping in his bed and had no idea who shot him. Officers arrived on scene quickly and were able to get possible suspect vehicle description. While officers on scene were tending to the victim's wounds and trying to secure the scene, other officers from surrounding districts began to set up a perimeter to look for the suspects. Teamwork. Officer Doty, who was in a neighboring district, observed the vehicle matching the suspect's vehicle description. And that vehicle was traveling at a high rate of speed away from the area of the shooting. Officer Doty attempted to stop the vehicle, but believe it or not, the vehicle began to take evasive maneuvers and flee from him. Other officers began to assist, and the pursuit led through Districts 2 and into River Park, which is unincorporated Port St. Lucie. As the pursuit continued, District 1 officers established a perimeter around the area to assist in capturing the suspect once the vehicle is stopped. The vehicle then continued onto Southwest Riemeyer Road, where the 4 suspects fled the vehicle on foot. Canine Officer Colton and his partner Danny tracked the suspects and ultimately located all 4 suspects. The vehicle was held for a search warrant. CID responded and began to conduct interviews. Based upon their interviews, it was learned that guns had been thrown from the vehicle during the pursuit. Based on a vague location description, Canine Officer Harris, his partner Oliver, and Canine Officer Duncan and his partner Rudy began to search these vague descriptions. Thanks to their unwavering efforts, both handguns were retrieved. CSI Smith and Uroma processed the scene. Casings from the crime scene and vehicle were determined to be a match to the guns the suspect tossed. This was truly a team effort in which all districts in the city and CSI and CID worked together and displayed excellent communication skills to establish control of the situation and to safely take these suspects into custody. Great work, everybody. Now we have a life-saving citation for Officer Tim Bort. Tim? Yeah. Tim, on September 8th, you were dispatched to Northwest Road and Court regarding an unresponsive 92-year-old female who is not conscious or breathing. Upon arrival, you observed the victim lying on the floor with CPR already in progress by a male bystander. You immediately took over CPR until rescue arrived on scene and took control of the situation. You, along with Sergeant Petronico, responded to Lawnwood Hospital, where you met with the nurse who advised that the woman had suffered a cardiac episode, however, had since regained her pulse and was breathing on her own. If not for your immediate actions, the outcome might not have been so positive. Great work, Tim. Another life-saving citation for Sergeant Tim Petronico. Come on up, Tim. On September 15th, you were dispatched to Southeast Port St. Lucie Boulevard in reference to a report of an unconscious male lying in the parking lot of a beverage store. Upon arrival, CPR was administered, and then as you retrieved your AED from the vehicle, fire rescue arrived and took over the scene. The victim was transported to St. Lucie Medical Center for further treatment. If not for your assistance, the outcome would not have been positive. Great job, Tim. Another life-saving citation. You guys are doing great. This one's for Sergeant Sheila LaGrega, Officer Dominic Durbin, Officer Matt Reynolds, and Terry Owen, our victim's advocate. On August 23rd, Officer Durbin was dispatched to Southeast Trillo Street in reference to a welfare check on a 73-year-old female who had not reported to work. Once Officer Durbin arrived, he noticed her vehicle was in the driveway, which contained her groceries that hadn't been brought inside. The entire home was covered in hurricane shutters, and there was no answer at the door. Officer Reynolds arrived to assist in removing the shutters from the front window, and the officers had to break the window to gain access into the home. The victim was located lying in the hallway, barely breathing and cold to the touch. Rescue arrived and transported her to the hospital, where she was able to make a full recovery. Because the victim had no known relatives, victim advocate Terry Owen contacted various programs who have now provided her with some victims' assistance. Great job, everybody. Now we have an Administrative Excellence Award for Sergeant Rick Schichtel, Tracy Diaz, our Juvenile Specialist, and Tom Ruther, our Crime Prevention Specialist. Now, I put in the nomination, but they still really did earn it. There's no hook involved here, all right? The open house event took weeks of preparation, as there were more than 80 participants that attended. Each of you spent hours on the phone contacting attendees to ascertain their attendance to the event. The calls consisted of explaining the event, ensuring their attendance, confirming their attendance as the date neared, and assigning spaces to all the attendees. Then on the morning of the event, making sure that Tom Ruther checked in every single person who showed up there and directed them to their assigned spaces. Sergeant Schichtel, you were able to obtain a grant from Publix that enabled the department to have a bounce house for children as well as a helium tank to fill and provide balloons, which I think Tracy filled all of them up. You each completed this monumental task without hesitation. Then, the National Night Out event we had was on Tuesday, October 3rd. The coordination of this event had you, Tom, visiting numerous sites throughout the 4 districts of the city to find participants for this event. Tracy and Sergeant Schichtel, you both worked to verify with the 4 chosen locations that they'd be ready for the event and coordinate with the trolley to take members of the command staff to the various locations. This also included the timing required to ensure the command staff was in attendance for a reasonable amount of time at all 4 sites and relaying this information to the trolley staff, which had requested the schedule in advance. This task required a great deal of communication with the 4 representatives of all these locations. Follow-up continued right up until the afternoon of the event. The hard work that each of you possessed guaranteed that these 2 events were a success and shined a positive light on the Port St. Lucie Police Department, the City of Port St. Lucie, and law enforcement in general. Thank you for your outstanding job performance. I know. I'm always waiting to see if the chief's going to say something when he stops at the podium.
You're doing great.
All right, thanks, pal. Volunteer of the 3rd quarter, volunteer Clive Niles. Clive, congratulations. Based on a nomination submitted by Detective Sergeant Terry Henkel, you've been awarded Volunteer of the 3rd quarter for 2017. You've been assigned to the Criminal Investigations Division for many years, and you are a valuable asset to them. During this quarter, you have provided countless services to CID. However, one of your primary responsibilities is assisting the crime scene section in obtaining victim elimination prints. This is an important responsibility since it helps clear out unidentified fingerprints from the AFIS database, ultimately reducing the workload for the technicians. It is estimated that this year alone you have submitted over 200 elimination prints to the crime scene personnel. You have recently taken on the challenge of contacting victims of all misdemeanor cases to determine if they have any viable leads or additional information to provide. You have been assigned over 100 cases this year. In several of these contacts, you've closed out several of these misdemeanor cases, which normally would have gone unsolved in the past. Your actions have contributed to the division's overall clearance rates. You also coordinate with the victims and businesses in order to recover video surveillance footage which aids detectives in solving cases. You have made yourself available to victims on the weekends, and you're passionate about your work. Even though you spend most of your time working with detectives, you do set aside some of your time to help other sections of the department. One of these sections is in traffic in all the different districts. On several occasions, you have assisted in traffic complaints by deploying the speed trailer. This is a tedious task, but one you're always willing to perform. You're a role model for civic duty and committed to the Port St. Lucie Police Department as well as to the City of Port St. Lucie. Your countless hours of public service have not gone unnoticed, and it's for these reasons and more that you have been awarded Volunteer of the 3rd quarter. Congratulations. Sergeant Mike Beath, come on up for the Brian E. Ruther Manager Award. Mike, based upon a nomination submitted by the PSL PD K-9 unit, you've been awarded the Brian E. Ruther Manager Award for the 3rd quarter. Approximately a year ago, you became the K-9 unit supervisor, and your proactive managerial style was apparent as the unit was nearing the completion of the K-9 training field at the McCarty Ranch, as well as hosting an emergency K-9 care training course. You're a positive leader with a high degree of energy and enthusiasm. You recognize the importance of the North American Police Work Dog Association certifications, which you were granted authorization to attend training to become certified. Your efforts brought the unit back to the standard of dual national certifications, and the unit is set apart from all law enforcement agencies in our area. During this training, you oversaw the first K-9 unit retreat, where the unit's goals and objectives for the upcoming year were discussed. As such, the K-9 unit has achieved many milestones structured towards the continued growth and development of the unit. Under your leadership, the K-9 team has received numerous accolades in various competitions and award ceremonies. You realized the need to restructure the K-9 schedule, including the on-call schedule, to provide more coverage during the week to our agency. You developed and conducted supervisor training pertaining to the utilization of the police dogs. This training allowed your peers to develop a positive understanding of the K-9 unit's ability to assist officers in daily operations. You have outstanding administrative skills, and you saw the need to rewrite the K-9 unit guideline, thereby ensuring it met current industry standards and protected the interests of the city, the agency, the K-9 unit, and the City of Port St. Lucie. You also developed an annual budget that included both regular maintenance items required for the regular operations, as well as new items needed to allow your staff to perform their duties safely and efficiently. You were instrumental in obtaining the unit's office space in order to have an area to plan and complete paperwork. You have also been vital in aiding the security sweeps for the New York Mets spring training at First Data Field. This service utilizes our agency's explosive detection K-9 team to investigate the stadium prior to home games, searching for any dangerous explosive materials that may be secreted on the property for the purpose of causing injuries and perpetuating terror. You ensure that the sweeps are performed properly and with the appropriate amount of assistance from a spotter. Your unit mentions that you provide them with a sense of team working environment as well as accountability. You have developed this unit to have an increased desire to be leaders, not only in this agency, but throughout the police service dog industry. Thank you for your outstanding job performance. I'm waiting. Civilian of the quarter for the third quarter is Administrative Assistant Brianne Brady. Come on up, Brianne. Brianne, congratulations. Based upon a nomination submitted by Animal Control Supervisor Lisa Brown, you've been awarded Civilian of the Third Quarter for 2017. You've been described as an instrumental member of the Animal Control Division. Your energy is contagious and professionalism is unmatched. During this quarter, you have initiated several projects that have made a positive impact within the division. You've streamlined the spay and neuter program by allowing residents to receive their certificates via email. Allowing this process to be paperless has reduced the cost of the program and made it easier for residents to take advantage of this invaluable service. You have also taken the initiative to create a mailing list for all animal control citations to inform defendants that the 30-day allowance to pay their citation was due. Since this process has been underway, there is a noticeable increase in the number of paid citations. The increase has correlated into a reduced number of citations being heard in court, thus reducing overtime for the division and increasing our customer service. You often assist the animal control officers in their investigations by obtaining information on lost pets and informing the responding officer of potential owners. This has positively affected the division's goal to increase the return to owner rate. You're always willing to take on new tasks and eager to offer suggestions to improve the function of the organization. It's for these reasons and more you've been awarded the Civilian of the Third Quarter. Congratulations on a job well done. Detective of the Quarter for the third quarter, Detective Paul Griffith. Paul, congrats. Based on a nomination submitted by Acting Lieutenant Brent Black, you've been selected as the Detective of the Quarter. Paul, you were hired in 1994 and have served in multiple capacities throughout the investigation during your 20-plus years. During your time in criminal investigations, you've worked as a persons detective and most recently as an economic crimes detective. Your experience and maturity are present in every case you work. You constantly demonstrate strong case integrity, teamwork, and work ethic. The Economic Crimes Unit has been assigned 4 supervisors in the past 3 years, none of whom had much experience investigating economic crimes. You are instrumental in helping these supervisors grasp the work of white-collar crimes, as well as helping out your fellow coworkers with that same information. Almost daily, you answer questions from other detectives and patrol officers and assist in investigations that are not assigned to you. Your dedication to the team is undeniable. During the third quarter of 2017, you worked dozens of investigations, but here are some examples of your success and diversity on those cases. While working a white-collar case, you recovered more than $34,000 and were able to return it to a victim of a fraud case. Through intense investigation and multiple interviews on a shooting call, you identified and obtained warrants for second-degree murder for 2 suspects who were originally thought to have been involved in just an aggravated battery. As you investigated a home invasion robbery, you determined the victim was not being truthful and unfounded the investigation, thus saving the department countless hours of follow-up investigation for a crime that didn't even occur. During another call-out for a home invasion robbery, you identified and obtained warrants on a subject who robbed a citizen of $17,000 worth of cash and jewelry, as well as used a handgun. Not only are you used as an investigator, you're one of the 2 polygraphists at the department. You're also a field training officer. During this quarter, you completed 8 polygraphs, of which 4 were criminal. During one of the criminal polygraphs, you obtained admissions from a suspect that he had committed sexual battery on a child. Congratulations, Paul, on a job well done. Well deserved. Officer of the third quarter is Canine Officer Will Harris. Will, congratulations. You've been selected as Officer of the Third Quarter for your dedication as a canine handler and your exceptional efforts in keeping the city of Port St. Lucie safe. During your tenure with the organization, you have developed into a leader in your field, receiving accolades and awards from the North American Police Workdog Association. This organization is a highly recognized organization which certifies police service dogs nationally and internationally. You and your canine partner, Oliver, were awarded Canine Tactical Team of the Year by that organization. Currently, you serve as an assistant Florida Department of Law Enforcement canine training for the department, as well as for other nearby agencies. You and your partner, Oliver, specialize in the detection of explosive material. During the year, you and Oliver were called upon to conduct explosive sweeps for several functions, including all the Mets home games. During this quarter, you worked on a drive-by shooting that resulted in a police pursuit. The suspect was apprehended and arrested. However, the firearm used during the crime was not located during the arrest. The suspect did not specify the location of the firearm, but gave a general area. The next day, you compiled information provided by all the detectives and officers on the scene and limited the specific areas to where the suspect may have discarded the firearm. Using this information, you and Oliver went to sweep all the swales in the area. After searching several areas, you noticed Oliver sit straight up and alert to the handgun used in the drive-by. When the suspect and conspirators were confronted regarding the find, it was discovered through further investigation that a second gun was used and discarded in a nearby area. 2 days later, you went back out there to search for the second firearm. You returned to that same area and gave Oliver the command to search, and within minutes, Oliver stuck his nose deep into the grass, sat up straight, and alerted to a find. You went to the area and found the second handgun sitting at the feet of Oliver. This investigation and your efforts, along with your partner Oliver, were praised by the police department, social media, and various news outlets. Not only do you understand and employ sound police tactics and go above and beyond when searching for criminal evidence, you are also aware of the importance of community relationships. Canine officers are often asked to perform public demonstrations to enhance the relationship between the police and citizens. You have conducted several demonstrations illustrating the importance of the police department and canine demonstrations. Coupled with this, you have donated several hundred hours of your own time teaching children important lessons as a police athletic league wrestling coach. You positively influence the youth of our community through sports and athletics. You are an asset to the Police Athletic League, the police department, the city of Port St. Lucie, and many individual families. Great work, Will. Congratulations on a job well done.
One more round of applause for all of our award recipients. So before we get started with the promotional process, I'm just going to take a few minutes and address our future leaders. You're here today not because someone has given you this opportunity, but because you've earned it. You earned it through a highly competitive process, your work history, and your reputation. The opportunity to become a leader is not a gift, it's a responsibility. A responsibility you will have to earn each and every day for the rest of your career. You can only lead if somebody follows you. And to inspire others to follow requires a vision of the future that others can see themselves a part of. The long-term success of a police organization is grounded in the trust of the community it serves. The public trust is fragile. It's easily destroyed and nearly impossible to regain once lost. And I think we're all seeing that around the country right now. The ability to maintain the public trust lies within the character of those it is bestowed upon. Building character in an organization begins with its selection process and the training of new recruits. Then selecting the right people for promotion based on merit, commitment to integrity, and a strong self-starting work ethic continues to build out that organization and the foundation laid by the recruiting team. Our elected leaders, the City Council, receive input from the citizens of this community. Together, they develop a shared vision for the future of this city. The shared vision is carried out by the city manager by setting the policies, goals, and objectives of the various departments within the city. The police department plays a very important role in the success of this community as a whole, because without safety and security, the community could not be prosperous. Successfully policing the 8th largest city in the state of Florida is a significant challenge, and it requires carefully building on the successes characterized by good decisions and gaining momentum in the desired direction. Selecting the right members to add to the leadership team is paramount to maintaining and building this momentum. The police department is a strong organization. Port St. Lucie is one of the safest communities in America. While I am realistic enough to understand we cannot completely eliminate crime in our community, I'm also just idealistic enough to dream of a city where there's very little fear of crime, in a city where being a victim of a crime is something people don't think about. A place where safety is never a question or a concern, and the American dream, the pursuit of happiness, is a reality. I believe through constant improvement in strategy and tactics that the application of evidence-based practices, this organization can continue to improve the service we provide this community. First line supervisor is where the organizational vision is shared with those who interact with the community. Mid-management serves as a liaison between the command staff and those who are forging that path ahead. Communication is crucial, because there are so many opportunities for the vision to become distorted as it's communicated throughout this organization. Oversight, guidance, and mindfulness are the hallmarks of great leaders. All three of you have the basic skill set necessary to be great leaders. But you're all individuals. You have a very diverse set of special talents that make you very unique. They also provide you with the potential to have a unique perspective, which creates diversity among the organization. And there's great strength in diversity. But as each of us go about bringing our own unique perspective to the table, we must be mindful of the broader vision, the goals of this organization, and align our expectations with the organization as a whole. If we do not all pull in one direction together as a team, we will not make progress. By far, the biggest folly a supervisor can make is to lead in the wrong direction. Not only does he or she hamper the organization's ability to progress, but he or she often leads those who follow into peril. So as you embark on your new adventures as leaders, be mindful of the path and the shared vision. And remember, you're not only responsible for your success, but the success of this organization and the individuals who choose to follow you. I've said this many times. The future of Port St. Lucie is bright. With the continued support and guidance of the City Council and the City Manager and the community, combined with concerned commitment to customer service and excellence, there is no limit to what the dedicated members of this organization can accomplish or the challenges we can overcome. So, without further ado, let's promote these three fine individuals and begin this journey. Detective Keith Boham, would you please join me? Stand right beside me. You're not going to need your hat, Keith. You want to put it down right there? I told him I was going to have some fun with him. Detective Keith Boham was born on November 15th in Bedford Heights, Ohio, to his parents Pat and Russ Boham. He has one brother and one sister. Keith is married Allison in 2005, and they have three children named Liliana, Edith, and Asher. Keith is joined by his family and friends. Celebrating with him today are his wife Allison, Liliana, Edith, and Asher, Pat and Russ Boham, his parents, Angela Gigante, his grandmother, who's 93 years old. Thank you for joining us. Keith received certifications in real estate from the IFREC Real Estate School in 2003 and 2005. In 2009, Keith received his Associate of Science degree for Criminal Justice Technology from IRSC. Keith then received his Bachelor of Applied Science for Organizational Management and Public Safety Administration in 2011 from IRSC. Keith ultimately received a master's degree in Public Administration from Barry University in 2013. And I'd like to point out, Barry's still undefeated in football. Keith worked in various positions before he became part owner and real estate broker for Metro Premier Properties in 2003. Keith initiated his tenure with the Port St. Lucie Police Department as a police officer when he took the oath of office March of 2007. He's held the positions of police officer in the Neighborhood Policing Bureau, a member of the DART team, and a detective within the Criminal Investigations Division. Keith currently works as a detective in internal affairs and serves on the SWAT team. Detective Boham has received numerous letters of appreciation and recognition. He's also received the following awards during his tenure with the Port St. Lucie Police Department: 10 unit citations, 4 Distinguished Achievement Awards, 1 life-saving citation, 1 POP award, 2 civic awards, and 1 Do Your Job award. He was also the Officer of the Second Quarter in 2009. Detective Boham is a well-rounded employee and continuously displays an extraordinary knowledge and understanding of law enforcement, and it gives me great pleasure to promote him to the rank of sergeant. And you want your wife to join you? Let's step over in front of the thing. One of you want to take the other collar brass? Sergeant Keith Boham. We'll do a lot of pictures afterwards. Don't go far. Bring it back. Acting Lieutenant Michelle Steele, would you please join me? For the next several minutes, I'm going to demote you to sergeant. Michelle Steele was born in Hollywood, Florida on November 5th, oh, they put the date. I'm not going to say it. Yes. Michelle has been married to her husband Ethan for close to 20 years. Together they have 3 children, Anna, Lily, and Jack. Michelle's guests in attendance today are her husband Ethan and her children Anna, Lily, and Jack. Michelle Steele attended the University of Central Florida, receiving a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and received her master's degree in criminal justice from Boston University. She enlisted in the United States Air Force in 1996 as a Korean crypto-linguist and served an overseas tour in South Korea. Michelle began her career with the Port St. Lucie Police Department, being sworn in on October 2nd, 2000. She held the position of police officer within the Neighborhood Policing Bureau, school resource officer, detective with the Criminal Investigations Division, public information officer, and sergeant in the Neighborhood Policing Bureau, as well as staff services. She's also held an ancillary duty of crisis negotiator in temporary assignments as an acting lieutenant on several occasions. Currently, Michelle is responsible for the assignments of UCI and the Crisis Intervention Team. Acting Lieutenant Steele has received numerous letters of appreciation and recognition, and she has also received the following awards during her tenure with the Port St. Lucie Police Department: 2 unit citations, 4 Distinguished Achievement Awards, 1 Chief's Merit Award, 1 City Certificate of Excellence, 3 Do Your Job Awards, 1 Administrative Excellence Award, 1 Brian E. Ruther Manager Award, and 1 Civic Award. Michelle Steele is highly committed in her service to this community. She displays an excellent knowledge and understanding of law enforcement and is with great I'm very proud to promote her to the rank of lieutenant. Take that first. Who's doing the honors? Jack? Let's go over here. Lieutenant Michelle Steele. Thought I'd lost the third one. Detective Sergeant Michael Swancheck, would you please join me? Detective Sergeant Michael Swancheck was born in New Haven, Connecticut on April 28th to his parents Agnes Demaro and Neil Swancheck. He has two sisters, Michelle and Dawn. Mike is married to Angela and they have one son, Ethan, and one daughter named Emma. His guests today are his wife Angela, his children Emma and Ethan, his mother Agnes, and his mother-in-law Sharon and father-in-law Ken. Mike holds a Bachelor of Science degree in criminal justice with a double minor in legal studies and management. He also holds a Master of Science degree in criminal justice with a concentration in policing. Prior to working for the Port St. Lucie Police Department, Mike interned with the Seymour Police Department, and he was a seasoned Marine Patrol officer with, I can't say that, say it for me, Lake Housatonic Authority, which led him to pursue a career in law enforcement. On February 2nd, 2004, Mike took the oath of office to become an officer with the Port St. Lucie Police Department. He held the position of police officer within the Neighborhood Policing Bureau, the Uniform Crime Scene Investigator, Canine Officer, MPB Sergeant, Canine Sergeant, and presently is the Detective Sergeant in the Special Investigations Division. Mike has received numerous letters of appreciation and recognition. He has also received the following awards during his tenure with the Port St. Lucie Police Department: 1 Chief's Merit Award, 1 City Certificate of Excellence, a life-saving citation, 6 unit citations, 4 commendation citations, 1 POP award, 3 Distinguished Achievement Awards, 1 Do Your Job Award, and he is a senior sergeant. Detective Sergeant Swancheck is a motivated, accomplished, and dedicated individual, and it is with great pleasure that I promote him to the rank of lieutenant. Agnes, would you please join us? Lieutenant Michael Swancheck. Stick around, Mike. Need a name tag too. Oh, thank you. Can I have Sergeant Boham and Lieutenant Steele join us? Each time we swear in a new officer and or promote somebody, we we have a tradition here in Port St. Lucie to pause and take note of what's important. And to us, a tradition started many years ago with Chief Skinner was the International Association of Chiefs of Police Oath of Honor. And so if all sworn personnel would please join me right now. Raise your right hands. On my honor, I will never betray my badge, my integrity, my character, or the public trust. I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions. I will always uphold the Constitution, my community, and the agency I serve. I will. Thank you. Congratulations. That concludes our ceremony for today. Obviously, there's going to be some family members that are going to want to take pictures, so we have the backdrop here, but I want to remind everybody that there is some light refreshments back over at the police department. So feel free to join us. Thank you.